on Cooking Vegan with Kay. So today I made some delicious fried oyster mushrooms. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment if you would love to see more future videos on my vegan recipes. You need your oyster mushrooms. I get mine from Whole Foods. Sprouts has them as well, but I really do prefer the ones from Whole Foods because they're bigger and they just taste better. You'll also need grapeseed oil. I get my grapeseed oil from Costco and they have a really great price. It's $6.99 for 2 liters versus if you go to a grocery store, you're gonna pay a whole lot more. You're going to also need paprika, pink salt, pepper, some parsley, paprika, and I love cayenne pepper just for a little bit of heat. And I always cook with onion powder and garlic powder. Those are just my go-tos. So we're gonna make a dry mix and a wet mix. So I'm gonna start off with a bowl for my wet mix. Now the reason why I do a wet and a dry is because you really want your fried oyster mushrooms to have a great crunch. If it has a crunch, then it's close to fried chicken, and I love my fried chicken to be crispy. That was when I was eating chicken, of course. So what you're gonna also need is, it's kind of heavy, unbleached organic all-purpose flour. I also got this from Costco. So you're gonna need 1 cup of flour, and make sure it's packed in there pretty tight. So I'll put 1 cup. And just to make this recipe even more simple, the same ingredients for my wet will also be in my dry. So the only thing difference is the wet has spring water and the dry doesn't have any water. So now I'm going to get my dried parsley flakes, these here, and I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of my dried parsley flakes. Some people say, you know, parsley doesn't really taste like anything. Yeah, it kind of doesn't, but I love color in my food. Then I'm also going to get 1 tablespoon of pepper. Now you need your vegan food to have some flavor, so you know you gotta add a little you know heat. I mean not heat, but some seasoning to it. And then I also like to put cayenne pepper. Now, if you don't like a lot of heat, I recommend 1 teaspoon, but since I like mine to be a little spicy, I'm gonna put almost a full tablespoon. All right. Then you're gonna get 1 teaspoon of salt. I like the pink Himalayan salt. I also get mine from Costco because it's cheaper. And then you're gonna put 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. There's the garlic powder. And the reason why these seasonings are in little Ziploc bags is because I go to H-E-B and I get my seasonings from the health department area, and it's just cheaper to get it that way because you're not paying for packaging. So there it is. Those are all of the seasonings that you need. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a whisk it up real good like that. And I use spring water only, okay? No purified water, spring water, no tap water, spring water. And I'm gonna put 1.5 cups of spring water. All right. then I'm gonna mix it up. I like my mixture to be kind of thick so that when I dip the mushroom in here and then put it into the dry mix, it'll be nice and thick so you can achieve that nice crunch when you bite into your mushroom. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Now you can tell that has some, you know, seasoning to a little razzle dazzle because it's not just a plain bland wet wash. All right, and like I said before, we're gonna put this to the side. The dry mix is the exact same. We're just not putting water in it. So that's the easy way to remember the recipe. You're like, oh yeah, everything is the same. So I'm gonna put, once again, 1 cup of flour, like that. Tablespoon of parsley, like that. Told you I like that heat. I'll put almost a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, like that. And once again, if you do not like spice, you can always, you know, reduce the amount. Tablespoon of pepper. And then for salt, 1 teaspoon. You don't want a lot of salt. Don't want your stuff to be, you know, salty. Going back to my onion powder. And of course, that garlic powder. Like that. And y'all, it smells good. And it's not even cooking yet. But you can smell all the spices. And as you continue to watch my videos in the near future, I use a lot of these seasonings when I cook. A lot of them, all the time. These same seasonings. May, use my fresh basil in the backyard, oregano, and different, natural herbs in the back. But I love these seasonings. All right. Now, before we start battering our mushrooms, I'm gonna get a 9-inch skillet and I'm gonna take my grapeseed oil. We don't do vegetable oil, okay? I'm gonna get that grapeseed oil and we're gonna pour it in like this. And as you fry your mushrooms, this is technically, when I fry anything, I put a top on it, okay? Because I notice whenever I cover it, it's gonna get crispy. So I'm going to put this on the stove and I'm gonna put it on like medium high. Well, I'll take that back, high medium, okay? So as I'm battering the mushrooms, this will be getting hot and then we could just drop the mushroom. Now, make sure when you batter your mushrooms that you have something like this with a napkin underneath it so that you can place your mushrooms onto it. And also, I didn't mention this, when I washed my oyster mushrooms, I got a towel and I put it on top of it and I tried to squeeze all the excess water because I like the mushrooms to be kind of dry. I don't like them super wet because if they're super wet, then it's going to be a little difficult to fry, especially mixing it with the wet mix. So this gets a little messy, but I'm going to take the oyster mushroom and I'm going to submerge it into the wet mix. All right, then I'm going to place it in there into the flour, the seasoned flour. And I'm gonna give it a little shake. I try not to put my fingers in it too much because I don't like my flour to get super, crumbly and stuff like that. But if it does, that's perfectly fine. It's still gonna fry the same. It's just something I just don't like when it gets all crumbly from the wet mix. and you're gonna shake it, and you're gonna lay it on over there. Okay, so now that the grease is hot, we're going to drop our battered mushrooms in there, like that. To be turned over. So I just use a fork. I'm just gonna turn them over like that. Make sure you don't scratch up your good pans. I'm trying to tell you, but I wish it was like smell-o-vision, because if there was smell-o-vision, y'all could smell this right now and be like, ooh wee. Like, I'm serious, y'all. This stuff smells so good, and it's gonna taste really good too. Just let it keep doing this razzle dazzle. Okay, so now that they're finished, I'm going to scoop these bad boys out, and I'm going to put it into something that has holes, because you want the oil to drain and drip. You don't want the oyster mushrooms or anything you fry, in that matter, to just absorb all of the oil. You want it to drip, okay? You don't want your food, you know, super greasy or anything. So I'm going to scoop these out. They're nice and crispy, and they smell so good. And you don't have to put any seasoning on top of these as you put it into the little pan, because they're already perfectly seasoned.